Okay. So about agenda for the today, as I already mentioned, we will give brief introduction about product marketing, and then we will go in deeper into different aspects of it. Finally, we have some special announcement to make. So we hope to have all of you stay till very end, so we can share some resources and announce some of few things. And finally, we will have Q&A session, where I think when you applied for this session, we have already sent few of the questions to us. So we will address them, and we will also take questions from you guys as well. I think that's it. Now I will give to Vipul Nanda. Vipul, let's get started.
Thank you so much, Varun. And when you said that's it, I'm pretty sure some people were wondering why that was the end of the webinar. That being said, folks, so product marketing is both new and old. Prior to product management becoming such a big deal, there was a understanding of classical product marketing in the 90s when tech companies and venture capital first started up in the US. But after many ups and downs, at this stage, we are at a point where there are lots more product marketers in the world. It's a growing job description. But if you could move to the next slide. And we can see that in India, we have over 6,000 product marketers. There are nearly a lakh global product marketers, and that the salary for Indian product marketers at a median, according to Product Marketing Alliance, which is one of those international people that we've very gleefully taken lots of resources from, including these numbers. They peg it at 25 lakh, and the global salary medium is at 105,000 US dollars. According to their research, PMMs are getting 40 to 50% higher salaries than digital marketers. Product marketers are working in India and abroad. Many of them are not necessarily catering to the same market that they are in. For example, a lot of global companies are remotely using product marketing in India. A lot of Indian B2B SaaS companies which are US focused, have a good product marketing base. And product marketing has somehow come to a point where it's partnering with product managers to drive business growth. There was an understanding that product managers were CEOs of a product, but I think at some point the realization happened that these folks are very good at building products and managing engineering bandwidth to build cool and funky things, but they weren't necessarily the best place to market it to a specific target audience. And that is where product marketing comes in. Varun, can we move on? Sorry, folks, we're new to this. We will also probably make some errors, but hopefully you can bear with us until we get it right. Now, this was one of the questions that was asked about what is the product marketing growth journey and what it looks like. And broadly, these are the designations that you are likely to see. You start with an associate product marketing manager or a PMM specialist, then you become a product marketing manager, then a senior product marketing manager, an associate director, a senior director, then there's an AVP, then there's a VP. Then a lot of product marketers have gone on to becoming the chief marketing officer of their company. Additionally, as you can see, we've kind of pegged out where the role changes in terms of who it's catering to and what it's doing. Usually associate product marketers are independent contributors. Product marketing managers are also usually independent contributors, but they might lead a small team. Usually at the PMM level, they are owning a particular product or feature set. Senior PMMs tend to lead teams of product marketers, and this continues, as one can imagine, up that hierarchy. One thing that I would want to call out right now is that a lot of the companies that I was speaking of that were trying to figure out the balance between product management and product marketing, you might have seen some headlines, maybe I think 8 or 9 months ago, about Airbnb changing what product management meant and adding product marketing to part of it. Apple, for example, product marketers are the ones who own the voice of the customer, and they are the ones who drive the product roadmap. So we're seeing a very dynamic understanding of what product marketing is that keeps shifting. It's usually very specific to the kind of company you're in, but product marketing has a great future because it is driving revenue and driving growth for product first companies, which are many. Now, part of that is, and we've seen this with the funding winter and the slowdown in the economy, that being able to monetize and grow products and not just grow by throwing money into the fire is the way it has to go. And that is exactly where product marketing sits. Varun?
Yes, thank you, Vipul. So the next question would be, in any organization, where exactly product marketing sits? So as you can see in this diagram, there are four different teams that we have categorized. First one is product team, and there is marketing team, there is sales team, and there is customer success team. So as you can see from the diagram, product marketing sits at the intersection of all these multidisciplinary function in any organization. So now when product marketing is interacting with all of them, it is product success of product marketing team is heavily dependent on how we are working cross-functionally. So I will go about each and every different team that how we are collaborating with them. So first is about product. So when product marketer is interacting with the product team, this involves working closely with the product development team. Product marketers provide critical marketing insights, customer feedback, and competitive analysis to inform product managers to how to go about the product. This can be at the multiple different levels of any product development. So for example, when you are starting about any new product, any product manager is starting of a new product, they will definitely ask the product marketers that, hey, give us the marketing insights, what our competitors are doing, what they are good at, what are the functionality they are providing, which we can also aim about. Moreover, what is the total addressable market that we are catering about? Out of those total addressable market, what we can cater to? It is Sam and Tom. We will definitely discuss everything in detail about marketing insights. But this is how we are working with the product development team. And that's where the product marketeer's role is also very, very important because they are making critical product decisions along with the product development team. Second team is the sales team. So once your product has been developed, you have to help sales team with different collateral. So now when sales team is going to any merchant or any customers, you will be providing them with different pitch decks, battle cards, and any marketing materials which can help them. Along with that, you are also teaching sales team, giving them sessions that what is our product all about. There are so many sessions that we usually do with our sales team as well, where we are explaining them product end to end. What are our key functionality that they can sell to the end merchant. So that is with sales team. Third one is the customer success team. So post sales team, product marketers work with the customer success team to make sure that we are doing customer engagement right. When I say customer engagement, we have to continuously talk with our customers, get their feedback. If they are having any complaint, they will first go to customer success team. So as a product marketer, it is very important that we are taking that feedback and communicating with other team. So take that feedback, communicate with the product team that, hey, this is something which our merchants are saying, this is how we have to improve the product. Or it could be to sales team as well, that our sales might be not right, or whatever service we are providing post sale, it is not correct. So all that discussion we are doing with customer success team. And finally, it is with the marketing team. When I say marketing team, specifically here we are talking about digital marketing team. So once as a product marketer, you are defining your strategy, you are planning all your go to marketing plans and everything, you are defining all the campaigns, then you will work with the digital marketing team to drive all those campaigns. It could be with the brand team when you are creating different brand films for you, or it could be with the email team or social media team or any other team, that you have to drive all those campaigns to your prospect clients. So overall, if we see, we have derived this equation that how we can generate the revenue growth as a product marketing. So this is the equation we have put up. To sum up the essence of product marketing, it's all about this equation: marketing insights plus powerful storytelling equal to revenue growth. By deeply understanding the market and crafting the powerful story around your product, you can help different teams and you can help the business to generate the end goal, that is revenue for every business. All right. So now, as we discussed, this was about numbers of product marketing in India and overseas, and where exactly product marketing sits in any organization. Now we will go into each aspects of product marketing. We will start with marketing insights and research. All right. So this is, I think, most of the people are Indian, hopefully here. So this is the nostalgic picture for all of us. One is Tata Nano, one is Tata S. I think when this is 20 years back when Tata announced both this project, that they are creating one commercial vehicle, one family vehicle, for Indian market. So in both of these, how did they do the customer research, and what they did right and what they did wrong? Specifically, I think first let's take an example of Tata Ace, because Tata Ace was launched in 2005. So before few years prior to that, they started the customer research. So if I take you back 20-25 years, all the commercial vehicles, small business owners, when they want to do any transport, because my father was also into transportation business, I can so much relate to that. That they have two different kinds of vehicle. One was for from the Piago. If you heard about this company called Piago, they used to have these vehicles like auto rickshaw, like auto rickshaw handle, and they used to carry the load in that. Second vehicle was directly Tata truck, which they given the number Tata 407. It was a huge truck. So now there was no in between in both these products. So the problem with Piago was not able to load heavy materials. So the limit was around 400, 500 kgs. And if someone is picking the later one, that is Tata 407, the truck was very huge. Definitely the load limit uh, that truck can carry was very high. But the problem was with small business owners, when they are going into any small lane, specifically in small towns, it was very hard to park the truck over there, because of the small lane. You can't park in front of the uh, your merchant's office or their shop. So you have to park very far, and from there take any load into their shop was very difficult. And with Piago, as I already mentioned, the problem was the loading. Second interesting story, which so many people of Tata has already mentioned, when they were thinking of creating the Tata S, they went for the Piago model of having the three-wheeler truck. When they were doing the customer research, they went to so many rural areas as well, because so many of those end customers of theirs were living in the rural India, different demographic. They went into all parts of India. One of the interesting story they told was, when they tell people that, okay, we will create the three-wheeler truck and we will increase the load limit, then what? They were like, sir, it won't give me the premium feeling. If you are giving me the four-wheeler kind of experience, it is totally different, because I will have steering wheel in front of me. So it is much better than driving those rickshaw kind of thing. And second feedback was, if they are in Piago, it was very hard to sit any other person beside you. So if you are driving the truck, you will also need some kind of help with you. So it was very difficult in Piago. But with Tata S, they created the entire cabin so that more people can come inside. And second problem, which was about the loading, they increased the loading capacity to 750 kgs. Now the third and most important part was the size of the truck. Because of the size of the truck, which I think so many of you will remember, they called it Chota Hathi as well. So 750 kgs plus, it can easily move into small lanes. Speed wise there was no issue. Parking you can easily do in the small place as well. So that's how they did the entire customer research well, talk to so many of that prospect client, go into each and every demography of India, and then they have created this entire truck. So that's how they did it. Their initial target was to just sell around 3 lakh of this truck. And I think in first 2 years, they've already sold 5 lakh of this truck. And that's how the huge success the Tata Ace was. And that's how they have started continuously, getting new models in Tata Ace. They are also introducing some other models. So that was the right thing to do when you are doing the market research. The second example is about Tata Nano. So as we already know, it was the dream project of Mr. Ratan Tata. He was looking at, once he was going on the road and he saw one family going on two-wheeler. There were almost 4 to 5 people, and he thought, how about I create the perfect car for Indian people, you know? But the major problem was their user research missed the critical right inside about the consumer perception and aspiration. While they identified the demand for an affordable car, because after the launch, everybody was calling it a cheap car, 1 lakh rupiya mein de rahe hai, and it could be revolutionary. But they underestimate the social status and safety concerns associated with the owning the cheapest car. You know, there were so many incidents after the launch where fire incidents, accidents that happened, and ultimately, as a result, the Nano failed to resonate with its target market, leading to poor sales and eventually they discontinued the project. So their plan was they would be selling millions of cars every 2 3 years, but ultimately I think the best year they sold was around 70,000 car in 2011, where they launched the bigger version of Tata Nano. But barring that, they couldn't make the Tata Nano success. So that's when the market research and the right market research come into the picture. So this is the translating of a product into an opportunity. Just a second. Screen.
We're on
Okay,
the
can
right
you?
side.
My
It's in
screen.
phase.
Okay, good. Yeah. So this is what they Tata did really well with their Tata is, and this is how any product marketer should, tackle about the user research. First, understand the product deeply, what you are trying to solve for, whom you are trying to solve. That is very very important. Then you will go into the market, where you will see what is the current scenario, what are your competitors, what they are doing, what kind of problem people are still facing, maybe with their product, which you can resolve with your product. Understanding the competition, as I already mentioned, think about their features, what you can give more on top of that, and that's how at the end of you can create the opportunity. By integrating these insights, you can uncover unique opportunities. Effective market research helps identify the target audience, their pain points, and competitive gaps, and enabling you to leverage for success. All right. So finally, this is the summarization of the slide, entire market research. There are three critical components: what to fight for, whom to target, and what they want. So first, in what to fight, which problem we are solving, what would be your market share once you are coming to the market, what kind of total market is there, and how much you want to, target out of there. And finally, what is your brand positioning? We will go deeper into each one of these in our successive webinar. But overall, in what to fight for, these three things. Whom to target. Create your ideal customer profile. When Tata Ace was creating their customer profile, they look for someone who is a small time business owner, who is into transportation business. They are not doing heavy loading, but very small loading, and for whom this is very ideal. Once you have your ideal customer profile, create the segmentation. All right. So when they were also doing, they must have created the segmentation like for this demographic, we will target something like this. For other demographic, we will target other thing. So this will give you with market segmentation, it will help you to create proper campaigns for each segments. And finally, who is the decision maker? I think the clear example over here is for any uh, let's say for baby products, ultimately it will be used by the babies, but the decision makers are mothers. So that's how you also have to figure out your ideal customer profile could be something else, but your decision makers will be totally different. And finally, what they want, what customer needs and what are their pain points, what are the desired benefits they are looking at, and finally what will be the value perception once the product is there. So this is how I want to summarize about the market research. Cool. People, over to you.
Thanks, Varun. And folks, so once you have a clear idea of what segment you're going after, why you're going after them, that's when the PMM's creative work really steps in. And it might seem to a lot of us that it starts straying into the realm of brand marketing, but it's a little different from that. The best product marketers, when they craft these stories, they are intensely data driven. They reach and find an insight into customer behavior that is not ordinarily accessible for people. And that is where we have a video in the next slide. So I'm going to ask Varun to wait before we move on to it. I'll just set some context. I think, never mind, he moved already.
Sure.
But yeah, this is a video for Apple, and everyone recognizes them as one of the best marketing brands that have ever kind of existed. And back in 1984, however, they were an upstart company that was struggling to make any sort of headway against IBM. But they did a lot of research into their core customers who tended to be very early adopters. They tended to be young, they tended to be nerdy. They didn't like the idea of IBM being international business machines, about the idea that this was being driven by some sort of profit motive. And from that perspective, and the idea that they were buying into some kind of collective was something that hurt the sensitivity of that customer, but they didn't have an option. So when Apple was coming out with the Macintosh in 1984, they bought airtime during the Super Bowl, which was the most expensive ad space that you could buy. And this is the video they showed. Varun, can you please start it?
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of vain contradictory thoughts. Purification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
So, folks, also, while we have the slight kind of detour break because of the video, Gopal asked a very interesting question in the chat about PM, PMM, and strategy all engaging with market research. I just wanted to clarify there that PMMs are very, horizontal stakeholders in the sense that they have to work with a lot of different teams. And like I was saying, from company to company, what they have to work on will vary greatly. And they usually get stuck into wherever there's a gap. But I would think in an organization where the product managers and strategy people are doing the research, great. Just take the data and then build your own layer of analysis on top of it. The idea is you have to be very collaborative, especially in larger organizations where there are different centers of power and influence. And product marketing will always be one where you will have to negotiate for value because your ability to directly deliver value will depend on some stakeholder or the other. You can't generate demand without working closely with marketing. You can't have a good GTM without understanding the value prop and having cooperation from product. You can't understand if there are opportunities without working with the strategy team if there is such a thing. So that's why it's very important to keep that in mind. Avan, can we move on to the next slide, please?
Just a second.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Today we celebrate.
Sorry about that. So, folks, when it comes to building the right narrative for audience, it begins with understanding the audience and what narrative will strike them. So, when Apple was looking at how they could stand out amongst, you know, uh, 18 to 36-year-old tech-focused young people who were either enthusiasts or working as knowledge workers in a new industry where technology was suddenly taking over old processes and paper, they knew that they had to come up with a narrative that would strike a chord with them. And so targeting and figuring out where they would be, identifying what would make a difference to them in terms of positioning, right? Positioning yourself as the upstart, recognizing that you are different and you are unique, that you don't belong to the combine or to this large monolith of what IBM used to be. And the value proposition was a revolution, a different way of looking at the world, and a different way of being able to deliver technology to customers, to give power into their hands as opposed to them having old bosses telling them what to do. And so every part of that ad, from the value proposition to the messaging, harking back to 1984, the book, which I mean, I'm guessing it's still popular, but was much more popular then. And then having that sense that having it during the Super Bowl meant that lots of different people were looking at it at the same time. So there, the ordinary cycle of social proof of someone using a product might not have been there. But irrespective, there was a clear understanding that lots of people were seeing this and it became a phenomena which they discussed with other people. So from that perspective, Apple was able to craft the right narrative for audiences. And this will differ depending on what kind of product you're taking up and what audience you're trying to market it towards. If it's a B2C kind of product, then you think of things like Red Bull, or you think of other things like technology like smartwatches, because they're able to speak to people at different ways, and that's where the brand marketing aspects come from. But in B2B marketing, it's often focused on who your persona is and who you're trying to reach out to. Are you reaching out to a finance person or a product person? Depending on that, your narrative has to vary. Can we move on to the next slide, please, Varun? All right. So similar to what we were discussing earlier, the breakdown of the powerful narrative and storytelling piece in product marketing is where do you reach them, and how, which channels do you use and which formats do you use. Now there's a difference between, for example, using LinkedIn and just using copy based post, LinkedIn and using images, or LinkedIn and using videos. In terms of positioning, you have to find the right niche of people that you're reaching out to, and you should be able to highlight what differentiates you from the other. Messaging, what to say, when to say it, and what levers to push, the sense that you don't want to belong to some faceless machine. All of those pieces are important. And social proof, maybe not so relevant in the Apple example, but being able to reach out to audiences that are like the rest of you, carrying the message of, say, some early promoters or believers in your product, and making sure that people can see those testimonials and have a reason to believe and buy your product. That's super important. Next slide, please, Varun.
Cool.
So
I
now,
think thanks, Vipul. Yeah. In our equation, as we've already seen, that with marketing insights and powerful storytelling, what we will drive is the revenue growth. That is the third part. So just to give you one story that how powerful storytelling and doing market research right and being at the right time and right place, how Zoho did it. So this photo is from the Dreamforce event. It's an annual event done by the Salesforce, where every year there are around 100,000 people on average they attend it. So this was back in 2013 when they did this event in San Francisco. Since and people from companies like Meta, Adobe, Apple, and all those people were supposed to come for this event. Now Zoho realized that since it's a entirely Salesforce event, they can't do anything during the event. So they went after one guerrilla marketing strategy. They simply created this vehicle, specialized vehicle. If you see, they have written on top of it like take a test ride. We won't tell Salesforce, Zoho. So they went to the hotels where all these people, all the attendings were staying. When they come out of the hotel, they will see this vehicle and they'll be like, okay, we will take you to this particular event where you are going at the Dreamforce and just take a ride. We will give it to you for free. And all these people sit inside this vehicle and there will be one Zoho representative as well who used to tell them more about Zoho, that how they are so much similar like Salesforce and how we can, help you. So this is one of the very uh, powerful, as the title suggests, growth is war, very powerful uh, guerrilla marketing strategy done by Zoho. And Zoho is very infamous for doing such things as well. One of the other instances during 2016-17, there was one more Dreamforce event happening in US, and it was a 360-degree hotel around 35th floor. The event was happening, and far from there, there was a huge open space. So Zoho people went there. They have installed one hot air balloon, you know, and once the event was started, they put it up there exactly at the level of the 35th floor. So other people who were inside that room, they can clearly see Zoho over there. So that's how Zoho and even I think Freshworks also, they both are very famous for doing this kind of guerrilla marketing strategy. Vipul?
So, folks, when we now break it down to what growth needs and what are the questions you should be asking when you figure out what is the right strategy and what are the right tactics. So, what problems are we solving for customers is a strategic question to ask. If a product person comes to you and says, we have an idea for a product, the first question you should be asking them is, what is the pain point you're resolving? And how are you resolving it differently from everyone else? So that is contained in the first three questions. What problem are you solving? What is the market landscape like? Are there other alternate solutions that do it differently? And what makes our solution unique? Then there becomes a question of for whom the solution is most relevant. Now, there's this notion of product market fit, right? Where you are able to take some sort of solution to the market and do it in a way that completely grows by itself simply because it fits into a need which was unaddressed or ununderstood. Now, we see that with something like Geo. Now, I don't think prior to Geo, there was any sense that not enough people had data access or that data access was super expensive. It was expensive, but it was only because we didn't have a comparison with something like Geo. But Geo was able to find immediate product market fit because they were like, this is something we definitely think everyone will want. This is something that we can supply in the short or medium term at massive cost, but with great upside to us in the long term. Now, when we consider other situations in product market fit, like Flipkart going ahead with COD orders back at the time when everyone told them it was a bad idea to do so, or when we see other instances in which companies have been nimble enough to identify what the great or the right thing to do to capture particular audiences or markets are. But a lot of it comes down to identifying a specific niche, understanding your customer and that customer type really well, and then figuring out what tactics to use on them. Where do they reside? How is it best to use them? How is it best to reach them? Like Varun was saying, Salesforce and Zoho are competitors. They knew that Dreamforce was the largest collection of their potential customers in the universe. It was filtered out, like there would be no Zoho customers there in the first place. It was the best hunting ground they could find, but their ability to be involved in that was limited. But they were able to find a stage at which customers will be receptive when they're around that place, when they're thinking about what value Salesforce is bringing to them, and they're looking at Zoho and making that comparison. And Zoho was able to communicate this differentiation to them because, in part, it was giving them a free trial. It was saying we are a cheaper, better solution that gets the job done. And that's how they were able to use these kind of events for leverage. And so the idea is between strategy and tactics, somewhere is where the value lies for product marketing. Varun, can you move on to the next slide, please? Right. So now this is as broad a collection of things that product marketers can do on both the strategy and the messaging side that will have an impact for revenue growth. Now, in terms of strategy, having a go-to-market document where you list out all the strategic questions to drive internal alignment and get the buy-in from stakeholders, a launch calendar which sets up when you will be doing various different things, what are the things that PMM will own and deliver, how they will train the internal sales team, what is the pricing strategy, how are they collecting social proof, are they able to provide something that will help the sales team make comparisons with competitors and then be able to sell better. Have they identified the right customer persona and their pain points? So all of these are just broadly a collection of the various things that we can do. Now, on the messaging side, obviously there are multiple customer touch points. The ones above are below the line, like things that a company will own the point at which it is reaching out to a customer. And the ones below, like website, social media, press release, etc., are things that are accessible to all. Now, there was a question that was asked about how important is social media for product marketing as a channel. And my answer to that is it will depend on what kind of product you're selling. Now, we've seen multiple products being sold at a time when Facebook was big on Facebook. We've seen that happen on WhatsApp. Right now, WhatsApp commerce is growing. We've seen entities create business models around social commerce without needing to be on social media in the first place, like Misho. The endpoint that we're making here is that when you consider what your product is and where your customers are and where they're more receptive to receive the value proposition, that is where you should be. If your customers are on social media, then you should reach out to them there. Now, this works in B2B on platforms such as LinkedIn, which have monetized the ability to have the largest network of professionals in the world in one place. Then you have other things like TikTok, where TikTok marketing in the US has moved the needle for so many different companies or even smaller entities, which have been able to punch way above their weight because they've been able to find the right influencer or have some sort of ambush marketing, not at the Zoho Salesforce level, but they've been able to use this new medium better than legacy players who are still trying to advertise on Google and Facebook. And so we see that those sorts of differentiations are there, those sorts of opportunities are there. So how relevant social media is or isn't to a product marketer will depend on what product they're taking to which market segment and how they're planning to do it and what targets they have. Right.
Yeah, I think we are very much on time. We were a little worried at the beginning that we might not be finishing on time, but I think uh, cool that I think this is the first session where we just want you guys to take you through the basics of product marketing. What are the different functions that product marketing team performs, and specifically what are the hierarchy and what at what level product marketing team sits in the organization. So before we move to Q&A, there are a few announcements that we want to do. So we are already recording this session. So we will send the recording. Plus, we are also creating some of the resources which will be helpful to you to understand product marketing as well as few of the GTM thing. Those resources we will email to you as well. So you will get it. Second thing, as we have already mentioned, this is first webinar in our webinar series. So the next webinar, we will go in depth into marketing research and insights. You know, that will be happening on 1st of June on Saturday in the morning. All right. And third, I think it was mistake over here, but third, we want to ask you guys as well about creating the community over here. So basically our idea is currently the communication mode is only email that Vipul is continuously sending to you guys. So are you guys up for, creating a WhatsApp or Slack community, whatever you prefer? Vipul, what we can do is we can just run simple poll and ask the people that if you are ready to join in, which platform you would prefer, please let us know. So that way it will be very easy for us to communicate with you guys. Any resource we want to share, any other opportunity also that we feel like you guys can look for, that we can share with you easily. So do let us know. And I think these were the three announcements we want to make. The next session will be a little longer because this was only the brief that we want to give into this session. So next in on marketing research, we are hoping that we'll be doing around 1.5 hour session. So we hope that all of you will be joining in. Now we can. Anything I'm missing, people?
No, I think we are planning to move on to some of the questions that were asked earlier while registration was happening. If you have
Sure.
any questions that are not amongst the questions that we put on screen, please wait after this session. If you are available, we'll be happy to answer them. In the many emails that have gone out to you, and I wholeheartedly apologize for bothering you so much. I think we've seen the feedback that WhatsApp is the preferred way to go, but we'll figure that out and we'll reach out to you via email. The other piece of it would be figuring out what is the best way to get in touch with you and build that community going forward. So one part of it is please feel free to
Right.
email us right now because that is the main mode of communication we're using. If there are any questions that didn't get answered in the session or you couldn't wait after you have to go for dinner, please go ahead and we'll be more than happy to answer and engage with you. The point of this is for all of us to work together and answer these questions for each other. So Varun, how did you
We
get into PMM,
Yeah.
Acha?
I think before that, I think Ajay, you very well said that folks, I have 15 groups and I've achieved all of them. That is why we are asking the question because we hear both sides of stories. Even me and people both have this discussion that whether we should stick to WhatsApp or we should go to Slack. And even some of the Slack communities are also dead because it is very hard nowadays to switch from uh, one organization to other. So that is why people are not uh, opening Slack as well. Yes, Ajay, yes, Ajay, please. Ajay, can you hear me? Sure. So meanwhile, Ajay, if you don't mind, we will answer this question and then I'll let you know. So first question is about how do I become a payment? I think two different stories I've already told you guys. For me, when I started my own company, own startup, I started with basic digital marketing thing where I was handling content, social media, and everything. But I was very closely working with our product team. I was one of the key stakeholders in making the decision. That's how I come to know that what are the important things, when we are building any product, what are the things we should be looking for, and how my research, my insights can help them make the product better. So that's how I was already, in touch with the product team, and I was also helping the sales team. Initially, I was the sales team, and then we hired a few more people, and that's how we built the sales team. And I was helping them with different qualitations whenever needed. So at that point of time, I have no idea that this is all the work of any product marketer, but that's what I was doing. When I joined the next company, and that's when I realized what is growth in product marketing. It is the entirely different operations in different organization. That's when I thought of shifting my career from digital marketing to product marketing. And I think at Cash Free Payments, I learning more deeper into it. So earlier I was purely into B2C. Now I am majorly in B2B. So I've seen both sides of things, that how things move in product marketing. But anyone who is right now in the digital marketing, and if they want to go into product marketing, when I was giving interview at Cash Free, all the earlier of my work, which I was doing just as a digital marketer, I packaged it very well and showed that how I created all this go-to marketing strategy, how my work was very instrumental to product team.
ये लेमन आइस टी से तो अच्छा ही होगा राइट मैंने बोलता ब्रू
Let's
लेमन
see
टी
with the
Yeah,
lemon
please,
iced
please.
tea.
See, I just don't want it as a right now.
I have muted Mr. Lemon Ice Tea. I hope you enjoy your lemon iced tea, Suman. Varun, please
Sure.
continue.
Yeah, so that is how I did. So basically, I packaged it well to show that whatever, and I was already doing product marketing work, but the problem was I was not even in my mind I was doing product marketing. So it was very important that I packaged it very well and show people at hiring place that okay, I know how product marketing we can do. So that is my journey. I think people will definitely have different story.
Yeah, my story was a little more typical. Most product marketers in India continue to be post MBA candidates. They are marketers who go and then get a different perspective on what product marketing is like I did. However, even in our work, I think around 30% of our product marketing team, including one associate director, is not an MBA holder. I think it's open to a lot of different people and personas, including growth marketers and digital marketers, as long as they're able to showcase their experience the same way Varun did, to understand that all of this ties in together. At the end of the day, you're generating demand, you're speaking to a market, and the deeper you get into digital marketing and the better you are at it, somewhere your world will intersect with the product marketing universe. So I think that's pretty much it. I'll stop giving random gyan. I'll move on to the next question on how do PMMs do sales enablement. Now, this honestly varies greatly. I don't want to pick a particular way in which sales enablement happens. The typical way is usually that PMM will make one set of collaterals or pitch decks or one pages because they are the closest to the product. They understand it best, and they will train the sales at like a one time kind of thing. However, there are also solutions consultants and companies that, for whatever reason, choose not to have solution consultants for enterprise sales in B2B marketing. They will expect PMMs to sometimes pick up that load. On the B2C side, it's a little different because sales enablement there will be driven most likely by digital channels. So B2B marketing is where sales enablement happens in this way with training and so on and so forth. But that's broadly how sales enablement happens. Like we'd shown you on that slide where we were talking about messaging and strategy, that is the list of collaterals that PMMs are expected to make. I like that's an exhaustive list. Now, depending on the size of the product and the importance of it, PMMs have to decide which is the most relevant one. Now, it would be for some sorts of products, you would want to do a video because you'd want to be able to show the product in action. Other, you would want to do like a document, or if it's really technical, you'd want to have a white paper. So, what you use as a lever to move the needle for sales, that will depend on who you're selling to and how you're doing it. Varun, the next one.
Yeah, we can take it.
Yeah, so the last question is on why is PMM not defined as all activities around marketing as a product, marketing a product? The reason for that is that marketing a product is not something you're doing in isolation. Marketing teams own marketing in general. So the amount of time and effort they're going to put into things is different. Most marketing teams will have some kind of target and they'll say we have to generate this much leads, these many leads, or this much interest. But product marketers will own the perspective of making that product work. So they're closer to a particular, more tangible set of incentives to make that happen. So PMM ends up being something that is more strategic and closer to the endpoint of what a product needs to grow, which is different from what marketing does. And PMMs work, very closely with marketers on, like in our at Cashfree, we lean on Gaurav and a couple of other digital marketers who tell us, okay, this is the right channel. They look at our messaging and help us make sure that it's platform specific or works for that channel. So that has to be hand in glove. But the decision on which channel you should go to and why you should go for it, the strategic perspective, is something that only PMMs bring to the table. If you consider all the activities around marketing a product, it goes into a lot of different domains. It doesn't have that cohesiveness or a clear understanding of why you're doing these many things for the product. That decision on what you do should come from a product market.
I think we have listed down these three questions. I think Ajay, if you can, if you have fixed your mic, you can ask your question.
Ajay is unmuted, but I don't think he's speaking. I think his driver bug has returned.
Anyone else, if you want to ask any question, we still have 5-10 minutes. We can take questions.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Arun.
Hey, Arun. Yeah.
Hi. So I'm actually trying to break into the product marketing sector, and I'm trying to look for contract-based opportunities or startup-based opportunities. What would you say is the best lever or the best mode to kind of start working? Because a lot of the time, proof of work is what matters more than anything else.
That's true, but can I ask you what you're currently doing?
Hello. Uh, so I finished off a master's in management, and then I'm actually coming off of a career break.
Hello.
I I actually built a product portfolio of sorts where I looked into different aspects of product marketing in
Mhm.
terms
Which
of
one is open?
acquisition, onboarding, and things like that. But I now want to look at doing it on real life situations, like going to startups and trying to understand their cases and solve it one by one. So you know, in terms of just building real proof of work, what do you think is the best way to go about things? And to give you a bit of context in terms of my experience, I've worked in IT, I've worked in business intelligence, a bit of digital transformation, and marketing automation. So I've had a very varied experience, and but then I want to combine all of that and maybe go into product marketing.
So that makes a lot of sense. And I do think that would be something that's available to you. I think the big question would be that the current experience that you have, how best are you able to frame it in a way that would drive the interest of someone who's looking at a PMM role? Now, I'm not
Yeah.
aware of, you know, where that stands. Part of the challenge would be
Hmm.
that I think most starting PMM roles would start at an APMM level. And
Yes.
when you have to go kind of backwards in your career, it's not an easy choice to make, even if it's
Hmm.
something you're interested in. And that balance is something that's very difficult to work out. But you have to think of it in the long term. I would suggest if
Hmm.
product marketing is something you're interested in, there are lots of APMM roles where growth marketers or marketing automation folks, if they're able to put together a value proposition or do something that's slightly hatke, will get attention,
Hmm.
right? Now, right now, the
Hmm.
market is in terrible shape. I'm not going to pretend it's easy for anyone. But
Yes.
I know that we are currently advertising an APMM role. Now,
Hmm.
there are lots of people who've reached out on LinkedIn. There are lots of people
Hmm.
who have applied, and lots of people who've done both. But the ones that have reached out and said, "Hey, I just went through your website and I thought these were the things that you could do better. I'm
Hmm.
really interested in this PMM role. Would you
Hmm.
be willing to speak to me about figuring that out?" Those are
Hmm.
likely to be the ones that are better,
Okay. Makes
right? And
sense.
that
Makes
approach
sense.
might help you get out of that place where people are not putting you under consideration.
It's kind of an issue of volume versus quality. In the sense, if I'm looking for volume, it kind of ends up being a slightly more generic email. But then, if I'm looking for quality, I cannot reach out and do that numbers game. So I'm stuck in between.
I think you can A/B test, right? I understand where you're coming from, and I'm sorry if I have a very simplistic answer, but I say
Hmm.
for say the next week you pick 10 and you really dive deep into it. You
Hmm.
see if you get like three responses, and then if
Okay.
that doesn't work out, then the week after you send to 500. Do you get three responses from the 500,
Okay.
right?
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense.
But I completely empathize, and I hope you find the right kind of PMM role or whatever it is that it's in your future. But thank you for your question, Arun.
Thanks a lot.
Varun, anything you wanted to add?
No, I think let's go to
Let's.
Ajay now.
Yes, he's been waiting a while. Thank you, Ajay, for waiting.
Yeah, hi. I think so if I'm audible now.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
loud and
perfectly.
clear.
Yeah. So again, I had a suggestion related to the community part.
Uh-huh.
Since you guys asked about Slack, WhatsApp, or anything, right? I've been in the industry from marketing and everything for almost past 12 years. And a
Mhm.
lot of communities and groups just die. Okay, because they consume a lot of organizational resources,
Right.
right? So just a suggestion, just try to get in touch with Suhas Motwani from the product folks.
Yeah.
Okay, he runs a
No, he's a
volunteer
good
driven
friend.
community,
He's a good
right?
friend. Yeah.
Yeah, he can actually assist you guys with a better uh, like to structure the community better, because only the product folks is something that where I'm active right now, because they put out a lot of quality and creative stuff,
Yeah.
right? And I see what the volunteers are working diligently,
Hmm.
right? Instead of and there are couple of influencer driven community I'm part of where they just die, right? Because they have to hire a guy, put him up to the work. They put out sluggish bit of content over there. So that's what happens. So just a suggestion regarding to community. Platform is totally your choice. WhatsApp won't sustain the quality or the details that you will discuss in the community, because it will require a structure, right? PMM is not uh, a single digital marketing type of role where you can just talk about ads anytime, right?
True.
I'm sure digital marketers across the world don't dislike you right now, Ajay, for simplifying their work so
I,
much.
I know,
But I
I
completely understand
know,
what you're saying.
I totally understand, but again, uh, so
No, that's very
I hope,
valid feedback. Oh, sorry, please continue.
yeah, just I hope you form the community somewhere at like Slack or Discord, because where people can directly talk straight away with each other, right? Discord is so much more of a Gen Z platform. Probably the
Yeah.
Slack would be the good one. And also there is another community guy you can talk to. I don't know the exact name. I forgot.
Uh-huh.
S11 is his community where SaaS marketers are there. A lot of product
Yeah.
marketers are also there.
Yeah.
So if you're forming community for them, probably that would be much better option.
I am fortunate enough, Ajay, to be friends with both Suhas and the folks behind S11S as well. But I think that's a valid point. To be honest, where Varun and I were coming for this, we were not expecting such a response, and we're great, like so happy that
Exactly.
so many of you came here and spent the evening and were engaging with us. We didn't want to put the cart before the horse. The idea is we'll do these 4 sessions, and by the way, I had a benchmark that if we get 100 registrations across 150 registrations across all 4 events, then we'll continue doing these webinars and go forward with the community. We got 150 plus in the first event. So clearly there is that kind of interest. So we'll have to reevaluate where we're going. But that's really good feedback, and I'll definitely think about it. And if you folks have any other suggestions, please feel free to add us on LinkedIn, write to us via email, and we'd love to continue to be in touch and keep this momentum going. But I completely understand that is something we have to be super careful about, man. Varun.
So
Yeah,
uh, Vipul, we marketers don't have a place to talk with each other right now in the digital world. Okay. Simple feedback. We literally can't talk about analytics with anyone else. ठीक है. प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर से नहीं बात कर सकते, सोशल मीडिया मैनेजर से बात करके फायदा नहीं है. ठीक है.
Same.
सिर्फ पूछना पड़ता है. तो प्रोडक्ट मार्केटर्स के लिए एक्चुअल में कोई जगह नहीं है, बिकॉज इट्स सच ए यूनिवर्सल रोल, राइट?
That's true.
point taken, Ajay, and thank you so much for deep insights. We will definitely consider all these points while we create a community. Yes, Vasudev.
Vipul. Hey, Varun. This is, I mean, I joined in late today, so I missed it quite a lot of it. Actually, I know Vipul already from my law school days and a lot of DepSoc and debate stuff. So yeah, it was great to see another fellow lawyer, like, who has shifted out. So that's some great stuff. That's that. My quick questions are like two-pronged, actually. Want to just understand from you folks. One is more from a perspective of somebody who comes from a non-tech background. I just give you a quick rundown. Yeah, of course, of course. Of course, I know that you have been in the marketing space even before MBA. So I did like see that what's been your journey so far. So my question is that what I did was that post law school, I actually did practice for a year, and I went on to join Spot Draft, which is a legal tech company. I was an SDR there. And so that's how I entered the world of SaaS. I was an SDR there, and then like I've taken a break, then come back and done few things. So what has happened is that in recent past, I've gotten few opportunities where because of my mix of experiences, I had a shot at, or I'm getting a shot at getting into quasi PMM roles, like a founding PMM roles. And my challenge there is that the SaaS product was extremely tech heavy, and it's an early stage startup. extremely early stage where there isn't a lot of logos to kind of bank on or a lot of case studies to build and show that how do I compare, right? Versus when I'm in the final rounds of evaluation for the startup, right? So my problem is that when I have an assignment in hand and I'm capable of writing assignments, the problem is how do I start the research with when I'm comparing a product without any case study, or how do I build that for a early stage startup? So I'm facing slightly a bit of, a blocker there. And I wanted to understand from you folks, like, if you can give me some, like tips on that, or like how should I go about this process?
Arun, will you take first stab at this?
Yeah, sure. I think the similar problem I also faced when I was applying for cash-free payments, to be very honest, because I was coming from B2C space, and suddenly I've been given one specific product as cash-free payments that you have to go about this. So first thing I did was I myself tried out the product, because in most of these platform or any of the platform nowadays, they are giving some kind of free trial or anything. So when I was using the product, I realized what would be the ideal customer profile for this particular product. Or like, let's say if you are building any food delivery app, you will quickly understand that what would be the ideal customer profile. So now when you are doing this kind of assignment, those people are not looking for looking that you are going after huge quantity of users and do some market research from them. I'm first talking about speaking with users over here. So
Okay.
for that part, I was only speaking to, let's say, 5 to 10 people in my contact list only, my friends, my connection. I just spoke to them that this is what the assignment is all about. And if you can, I created the survey form, send it to
Hmm.
them, all the information, whatever I got. After that, I went on to one simple call and I got all the information. So this is how I did the initial customer profile and the segmentation. Once I figured that out, all the market research about what is the total addressable market, what kind of sizing and what kind of song. I'm not, I, to be very honest, speaking very bluntly, that not all the people who are hiring you right now, they are not looking for the exact numbers. कि भाई ये exactly तो लेके आए कि 100 में से 50% का हम लोग को करना है or anything. But moreover, they're
Got it.
looking at the efforts, that what kind of efforts we are putting, or whether you are going after the right audience or not. That's it. If for
Got
that
it. Got it.
particular product I'm going to some different kind of audience, which have no correlation, then it wouldn't have worked. But for that particular part, it was very easy for me to look through my connections only, and then go for the market research. So first I identified the ideal customer profile and did the segmentation. Then I go about what would be the market share, what is the time and everything. I think people can
So,
agree.
I have a quick thing to kind of add as an extension
Yeah.
to give niche problem statement, right? And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because when it comes to a product which we can understand, Tamsom, Som, and considering I have a bit of sales experience on the SaaS side, I'm able to figure that out a bit more better. Like I'm
Right.
able to file customers better. I'm able to reach out to the headcount or the size of the companies that I can shortlist for them. Create lead gen is not my problem. If that's something I can do a bit more better, maybe. My problem is that if the company lacks any case studies and it's trying to win its first few customers, how does the sales enablement content can be created? And I'm talking about extremely, heavy tech-oriented products. Like I was trying to write it something for an integration tech. A company was building integration OS, and they wanted to, kind of compare against the big they were in against a big player like Workato, Runs. And I was they were trying to say that okay, you create sales enablement content and show that what you can do. And I'm like, dude, like I'm not able to like take my first step here. What am I supposed to do? I have like 2 days, 3 days to figure it out. So I'm like completely lost there. So that's sort of enablement issues I'm facing, the content issues I'm facing is what I'm trying to put my problem a bit more better here. So yeah.
I think the you have to reconsider your approach a little bit here. One thing that Varun mentioned, which I think is very accurate, is that if someone is asking you to do this during your interview cycle, something is badly broken, might not be a good company for you. Because if a founder is unable to put together a value proposition that convinces you, how will you follow them into the thick of it? Think about it this way, right? in the initial stages of most startups, sales are founder led. The founder has to go and be the face, and usually the founder's participation is something that moves the needle. Then you can suggest that you work
Correct.
with the founder and say that we will reach out on LinkedIn to your target audience. We will say, hey, I'm a founder, I want to work with you, I want to build something that is going to solve your problems. And that might be a way to get
Right.
attention. That being said, anyone who's asking you to do sales enablement material during a interview cycle and expecting you to
Assessment.
suddenly solve all his problems is probably the same sort of person who will tell you कि कल हम unicorn बनेंगे. So maybe that was not such a bad thing कि वो नहीं हुआ. That being said,
Okay.
Vasudev, I'd be more than happy to uh, work with you on this. I think there's a lot of what you can do in terms of अगर कंपनी का वेबसाइट है ना, वो
Hmm.
ही सबसे बड़ा important touch point है कस्टमर के साथ.
Hmm.
And how they are framing that. One value add that you bring to the table from being outside is that their target audience is also not always going to be tech savvy. At the end of the day, especially in B2B marketing, the decision maker often ends up being someone in finance or like at the CEO level. And the decision maker could be an alliances guy who's like, this is my target. Are you going to help me achieve it? I don't care if you have 5 sprockets and 15 AI/ML algorithms in the back end, right? So knowing how to present that is something that founders should be able to do, because they don't just have to convince customers to get on board. They have to convince people to put money in, or
True.
they have to convince their universe or their family or friends to give them enough money to run that to pay your salary. So somewhere I think what you're describing to me seems an atypical situation that I would be wary of. Irrespective, I think looking at what they've done and trying to see how you could make it better, even from your outside in perspective, would really help. Varun, anything to add?
Got it. Got it. Well, I'll try to like.
No, I think
Yeah, so I mean, noted completely, Vipul, because enablement is something I couldn't figure because they asked me that if I could do some lead gen because they wanted a mix of things. So that's something I could do. But when it comes to enablement content, I believe it was too tech heavy for me to just come in from outside and like create that sort of content against a unicorn already. I'm talking
Yeah,
about like some large scale unicorn, competition level. But yeah, anyway, just a second question. I'll just like connect afterwards. I don't want to take a lot of time of others as well. I understand like we are a community here. So just a quick question, Vipul. So I understand that like trying to get some more post MBA sort of perspective quickly is that I understand that ISB has a lot of product roles being offered, etc. And I hear like that's what it is. But like, how did you figure on the PMM side of things in general? Like,
I really didn't, to be honest. Like when I joined, I had been working in content and digital marketing. I had picked up SEO and digital marketing in general. I was not a performance marketer, but I wasn't necessarily a full stack marketer either. Like I had some experience across the board, because if you're supplying content, you get exposure to everything, but not necessarily that
right,
focused. And so for me, going to an MBA, and then like ISB and most MBA schools have this kind of thing where they make you reach out to alums. So I was like, Alum sir, please tell me what to do. Alum sir said, what do you want to do? So I said, I want to become in a FANG company. He's like, why would you do digital marketing in a company that owns digital marketing like Google? Like it didn't make sense to him. And so he suggested, and I was fortunate that I had that guidance from him at that time. He suggested that you might want to look at product marketing, because just before my MBA, I had like it was a team of like 3 people, and one of the things that we done was kind of launch a new vertical or offering, and I had to do that from end to end. So similar to what you're describing, right? The whole I had to actually do some amount of sale work in terms of pitching to end customers and taking that from like zero to having around like like a 50K USD monthly run rate, which was, I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it was a big thing to take from zero to one. That to pre MBA, when I had been hired there as a content marketer. So from that perspective, when he heard about that background, he's like, "This is cool. You have the capability of doing this perhaps, and you should explore product marketing." That's when I then found Product Marketing Alliance, and that journey has led me to great folks like Varun that I've been learning from day in and day out. So I think as long as you are clear on what you want, and we can help you out, and I'm sure the community can try to find opportunities for you that make sense, I think you should be all right.
sure, sure, definitely, Vipul. I mean, thanks so much. Thanks, cheers. Thanks so much, guys. It's been great.
Thanks.
I think Balakrishna is waiting for a while.
Yeah.
Balakrishna, are you there?
And Amaya. So Balakrishna, then Amaya, please.
Yeah, so am I audible?
Loud and clear, friend.
Yeah, so first off, I'd like to thank both you and Varun for the very insightful session. Learned a lot. Didn't really expect, for a webinar to be this engaging. I'll be very honest. Although I did miss the first 10 minutes, I'm hoping to catch that in the recording. But yeah, my point being, so it's only been around 9 months since I graduated from college. I have been accepted into a PMM role at an organization. So it's very confusing. It was very confusing at first because my role was not very defined. And like you've explained in the webinar, there are multiple facets to what a PMM role has. So I was being thrown here and there, and I didn't have a really good idea of what the role is. And I'm just getting to learn it. So my question to both of you would be, how would you suggest that I go about, experimenting with PMM? Or is there any way that you guys went down, or are there any resources or anything for me to, make the journey easier? Because I definitely do have an interest in product marketing.
So, Bala, I don't think I have something ready to offer you, but I think this is great feedback, Varun. What we can definitely do is between the time that we spent together, between the sources that we found, which are not India specific, but that which we
Right.
have, we can definitely put that together and have that as something that we can offer to people who attend at the end of the fourth session, maybe because it'll take us some time to put it together. But Bala, thank you so much for that feedback. What I can do is I will, and whether you like it or not, you filled out a form. I have all your details. I will happily find some of these things and share them with you when I can. And if I forget in any case at the next session or subsequent sessions, if you remind me, at the end of the fourth session, we'll try to put together a basic kind of set of links, if nothing else, of places that you can go to understand what you should be doing and how you should be wrapping your head around product marketing. I hope that helps.
Absolutely, it does. And one more question before you move on to the next questions. So, like I mentioned earlier, I've been experimenting different facets of product marketing. So it got to a point where I was trying to experience what HubSpot was. And the problem right now is that me being very new to the company, I have absolutely no access to one of the most important parts of HubSpot. So I don't really know how things work. So my question is, did you guys also face any situations in your career where you wanted to try out tools, but you probably didn't have access or face some roadblocks? And how would you suggest I go about this? Do I do any course, or how is it?
Uh, I'll just say this, and then I think Varun is the right person to answer. But at least 20% of my conversations with Varun are us complaining about Salesforce and how annoying it is for us. There is always going to be, each company will have a different set of platforms that they use. HubSpot is a very good one. The best thing about HubSpot, honestly, is there's a lot of content they write. Their website documentation about different things that they do and what you can do with it is exceptional. So while it might not have been so easy and it might be some effort at your end, I'm pretty certain that you should be able to find at least some understanding of what is happening with HubSpot. The gap is that that is not going to be the same thing as figuring out what your org is doing with HubSpot, which is a completely different issue entirely. But yeah, Varun?
Bala, let me understand. Your organization already have HubSpot, but you don't have full access. Is that what it
Yes,
is?
yes, that you
Okay.
heard it. You heard it right. Yes.
So, what specific things they are not providing to you, and which you think you should have?
So, just for me to understand the workflows, so when lead scoring is implemented, the entire process. So, what's being told is entirely in theory, right? It would be nice to see how it works, but that is something that is never. Maybe I haven't got to that stage yet. I'm not sure how that works.
I think there could be two different things. As you rightly mentioned, that maybe they are thinking that for a more senior person, they would be given different kind of access in the organization, because ultimately all these are subscription based platform. More the people you are adding, more the billing will come to the organization. That is why they are limiting the access. But saying that, if you think there are two aspects of it. One is you want to learn about it, you know, and how you can help your organization to do better by doing it, that you have to convince them. Maybe try some alternatives of HubSpot. This is what I used to do, and currently we are still doing. That we will first go for the trial version of any of the tool. and we'll make sure that the trial version we are getting the maximum results. Then we can show the people that, hey, see, we just used it and this kind of result we can drive. Just imagine we are just using the trial version. There are so many other features are also there in that particular tool. If you are giving us the tool, then we can definitely double down on our workflow. So that is how you have to convince them. I can totally uh, being the into the finance team, for my own setup, I can totally realize that if you are adding more and more user in one particular SaaS tool, your billing will be endless. But somehow you have to figure out and you have to show them that how uh, that particular option that they are not providing you in the tool, how it is useful for you and how you can drive more results. That's the, I think, only way I can think of convincing more and more without showing any result. I don't think it would work. So I would suggest try some or the other way. Try some free tool and just show them that we already have this in HubSpot. If I can do, we will drive some good results. I hope this answer makes sense.
It does. It does. Thank you. Once again, thanks to the both of you for this session. Very insightful.
Welcome.
Thank you for attending, Bala. Really appreciate it. Is
Is
Amaya?
Amaya?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So firstly, I want to thank you, sir. It was truly an amazing session. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm looking forward to learning more from the both of you. So I just wondered, it's a two-part question. Firstly, I want to understand, being a college student, what are the few skill sets and the few areas we can improve, and so that we can in the future, fresh out of college, we can land a job in the role of as associate PMM.
College journey is something, I guess, like Varun just kind of happened upon it because of his entrepreneurial stuff. So, but Amaya, what college are you at, if you don't mind me asking? What discipline are you in?
So I'm currently in VIT Vellore, and I'm currently pursuing Triple E.
Understood. Now, to be honest, the good thing about engineering in India is that people think that engineers can and employ engineers to do everything. The bad thing about it being an engineer in India is that they expect you to do whatever the heck they want, and the avenues to marketing are not that clear cut. That being said, if this is a space that you're interested in, one good way to do it would be like an internship. I know for larger organizations, there might be some scope to get an internship at like the likes of Freshworks, etc., where there would be a product marketing org and there would be likely some number of people who they would take in at the college time. So that internship to me would be the best way for you to walk out of VIT saying, I've already got some PMM experience. The next thing would be learning what you can do on your own, what you can kind of set up, which is read a lot of resources like we were speaking to like earlier. I think that's definitely something that we'll put together for this community. I think it makes a lot of sense for us to do that. um, but over and above that, my sense would be that you should be clear that if PMM is something you want to get into, then what is the fastest and easiest way to get into it? Potentially working with like a early stage kind of startup where the team is small, where they need people to help out. Get in there as an intern, say, I will be able to do these things. This is why I'm applying. Every time there's a funding announcement, right? They're all over LinkedIn. I mean, not so many these days because funding is in not such a good state, but there are still announcements being made. Those are the kinds of places that quickly need someone. So whenever your internship period is upcoming, or you have like a break where you'd be able to spend some time working on these things, you should look out for those announcements. Maybe reach out to someone on LinkedIn and try to apply for that. That's the best I can think of. Varun, did you have any ideas?
I totally agree with you people. One more thing I would say is when you product marketing, I would strongly feel, and since I also did that, have digital marketing uh, idea as well. So, for example, write more content, because that is something you will be same thing you'll be doing when you become PMM as well. So all those, having knowledge of, at least have knowledge about social media, have knowledge about email marketing and all those digital marketing aspect. I think from where you can start. And people rightly pointed out that all those early stage startups, they don't have any predefined role. So even if they're calling you as a digital marketer, after joining them, you can tell them that this is something also I can do. I can create more of a product strategy, go to marketing strategy, along with whatever social media post you want me to post every single day. But try to get into some organization that they are looking for generalistic kind of role. Maybe it won't be very easier to be a product marketing intern, because I'm to be very honest, I'm not seeing those kind of many posts around LinkedIn that people are hiring for that. But I think this is something could be a good starting point for you.
Okay, sir. Makes sense. So on the follow-up to that, I have been grateful enough that I've able to get a job such like that. So in back in VIT was last year, one of the company it came on Shark Tank season two. Its name is Inside FPV, and I've been working there. It was startup only, and I'm working there as in the role, as a role of marketing specialist only. It was more of a floating role. I was initially I was handling some social media handles. Then I was given the opportunity to learn more about digital marketing and the performance marketing side of things. Now, currently, I would like to once again ask Lee, how are the like down the line of when I come out of college, how is this experience comes with other candidates when they're checking, okay, I have done this during my college time. So how it differences compared to other people.
So I'll be honest, Amaya. I think it depends on what kind of organization you're looking at. The more organized things are at a PMM level, the expectation is that they will have, as Warren was saying, higher filters for the kind of people that want to take in for an APMM role, which is the starting point for product marketers. Now, since you are already working in a startup, then it goes back to the conversation we were having before that the longer you spend there, the more you are able to tell them that I want to do product marketing work, and you are able to do product marketing work at Inside FPV, that will help you be able to set up that profile. It might not happen immediately after coming out of college, might happen a little later. But that's if that's the journey you want to take, then that is what you should work towards. And the idea there should be that think of it strategically. Like, marketing specialists, Ajay in the chat kept saying that by sales enablement, a lot of people think that it's performance marketing because this is demand gen. Ask, and kind of because they're smaller teams, you will have access to founders as well. Tell them that you want to take this radically different approach to maybe come up with a strategy of going and finding PMF in a new segment, or come up with something where you can proactively show the value that you can create by putting on a PMM hat. And once you do that, putting it in your CV, condensing your work experience into that framework becomes a lot easier, especially if you know from before that you're going to do it. Most people end up like doing it in hindsight, but since you know that you're going to be doing it, I think you're an advantage.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Amaya.
Thank you so much, Amaya.
Anyone we have missed people?
Are there any more questions?
Hi, Vipul. Hi, Varun.
Yeah, hi,
Yeah,
Amritansh.
Niransh.
Hey, how are you? I had a few,
Yeah, good.
just one question. So, I have been to digital marketing sector past 7 years, 7 to 8 years. And what I found is the most difficult part when you apply for a product marketing manager or marketing role, which has been for posting. People don't consider your past experience with marketing when you're applying for a new role, like product marketing, when you're moving your whole pivotal. That is the issue which I have faced personally. And even if you tell that digital marketing also is a part of product marketing, or rather a one aspect, but still it is not considered. So, any suggestions on that, like how to crack that part?
I think people has already, I think first one or two question was around this only, that someone is a digital marketer for so long and they want to start with product marketing. So people already mentioned that doing this, you have to realize that you will be, going backtracking in your career basically. So for example, you have to start from APMM level. If
Yeah.
you're fine with that, they can definitely, you can apply for those particular roles where you can show it. Moreover, I've also been to same journey, being a digital marketer and then come into PMM. But as I already mentioned, for me, the advantage was I was closely working with the product team and sales team, closely working with every single team in the organization. So ultimately, the advantage was I was able to frame my prospect very better. That what I did in my past. If I will only say that okay, I handle content and social media and everything, it might not then job for me as well. you know. So now in your current organization, as Vipul was already mentioning in the previous answer, that what you should be doing is if it's a small organization, try to take different responsibility on you basically. That's how you can build your product marketing portfolio and then apply for some organization where you can see your show your past work, basically. That alongside of the digital marketing, I've also did this kind of strategy work. I created some GTN. I find out the PMF. I did the market research and all the things that we have already shown. But I think it is very, very important that you showcase this thing in better way.
Understood, Varun. Thanks for the insights.
Amritanshu, how are your eyes?
It's good. Thanks, people, for asking. As of now, I'm not using my spec, but somehow managing it.
Yeah, but please be careful, man. Like, I have a
Yeah,
very high number and I feel completely blind. And if my number changed suddenly at this age, I'm pretty sure bad things would happen to me. So please take care.
thank you for asking. Varun.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, folks? I think we've worn them down, Varun.
Yeah.
But thank you so much,
Akshay,
everyone, for attending.
I think Akshay, do you want to ask a question? Cool. I think I
Hello.
don't see any other questions.
All right.
Sorry.
Hi, this is Bhargav.
Yeah,
Actually,
Bhargav.
I
Yeah, hi.
joined the session a bit late. Apologies for that. I was doing some
No
work.
No
worries.
worries.
But yeah, so my question is that like previously as a part of a prop tech organization, like I was given the role of PMM, right? But it was a very small startup wherein I I worked in creating the content for the social media, creating the sales decks, pitch decks, and doing the competitor research, etc. But
Right.
since it was a very small organization, I was in the later stages. I was also pushed into sales, right? Which I kind of liked. So what I did was like I shifted to like an SDR role to explore sales. Uh,
Okay.
but now I'm having a feel that I really want to get back to product marketing because like that is what I've been doing. Like even before my experience as a product marketing manager in that particular startup, I was working as a social media manager for a company and also as digital marketer, right? So marketing is something that I feel is my forte. And like trying to transition back into that role. So what would you suggest that I do, and how do you suggest that I should position myself so that I'll be able to get better opportunities?
You're trying in the same organization or somewhere different?
No, currently I'm not applying for the same organization, although like I am consulting with them, but I'm looking for opportunities outside the other outside organizations.
I think it would be very similar to what, from my side, it would be very similar what I said earlier. If you already have that profile of PMM, frame it in a better way, and then try to apply as a role of APM. I'm not sure what was your experience as PMM in that organization.
1 year only. I was there with them for a year, and
Okay.
like after that, I moved to a sales role because I
Hmm.
wanted to explore whether I'll be a good fit for sales or not. Like, although I performed well and everything, but I feel that marketing is something like I was not able to get involved in setting up the GTM strategies and like the top level strategic activities, which I really wanted to be a part of, and also from like getting to know about the product strategy and helping in setting up the roadmap and everything is also something that I want myself to be involved in. So that's one of the reasons why I'm looking to get back into PMM. But since I've been in sales right now, I'm getting more opportunities from sales side rather
Of
than a
course.
PMM side. So that has become
Yeah.
a like a roadblock for me right now, which I'm looking to solve.
Yeah, so basically, I think it would be again same. If you have prior experience, try to frame it in much better way. And I think you should also learn few of the new things which you feel that while you were PMM earlier, you couldn't learn or couldn't contribute to. There are some resources already available, and then apply for the APM group. I think that would be that is something which might interest other people because you already have sales experience.
Yeah.
So maybe you can frame it like I already know how entire sales thing work coming from that particular stream. So I think I would say ki try to learn PMM more, and then
Yeah,
try to apply. Vipul,
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, makes sense.
Vipul, you want to add anything?
No, I just feel that Varun just ticked all the boxes, Bhargav. But like I said, I think it's about a lot of it is about framing what you've done in a way that appeals more to people who are looking at your profile. So if you've done
Mhm.
demand generation, say that you were able to drive an understanding of the customer that led to that demand generation, not that you launched a campaign. So it's about
Yeah,
putting it in that framework. But once you do that, I think it becomes easier.
understood. Makes sense. Yeah, I think that's why currently I'm doing a little bit more courses. I recently finished a course on growth hacking as well from 1 month, and I'm doing courses. I'm trying to engage with the PMM community in uh, what is that? Sorry, the other PMM community that is there. I'm part of.
No, good. I don't know which other PMM
Yeah,
community there is, but good for them. Uh, I think the
I
more
forgot
the
the
better.
name.
But is it the Product Marketing Alliance, perchance?
Alliance, Product Marketing, PMA, yeah, Product Marketing
Yeah.
Alliance group.
yeah.
So I'm part of the group as well. So I'm trying to reach out to people from that group so that I can like connect with them, maybe share some value, and from there try and crack my way into a role. But again, I think the sales experience becomes a blocker. I've been in sales for around 1.5 years now. So like people are asking like again, why are you trying to shift from sales back to PMM or something like that? That's the predominant question that I have been facing in uh, some of the calls that I've had in interviews. Yeah.
So completely unsolicited feedback. But I think if you have sales experience, a lot of PMMs could do better by having more sales experience, particularly in organizations that are selling to large enterprises, because they're the usual levers of I sent an email, I did a social
Mhm.
media post, don't actually lead to closure. So, like I
Yeah.
was mentioning earlier, there are solutions consultants as well who
Yeah.
sit somewhere between product marketing and sales, where
Yeah.
they dive deep into a specific customer. It's kind of like business development, like what it used
Mm-hmm.
to be, right? Ki like apne ek customer, you identify one customer, you understand them completely, and you just deliver to them. So that
Understood.
can also be a gateway back because there your sales experience will work in your favor, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. I'll have a look into that kind of role as well. Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the feedback.
Best of luck, Bhargav.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining in.
All right, folks, there are only 8 of you left. 2 of you are AI,
Yeah,
2 of you are us, one of you is a spouse. I think we can call it a night now, Varun.
And do you guys
yes,
also,
definitely.
sorry, just one last question. Do you guys have a
Yep, yep.
Slack or a WhatsApp community that you guys are maintaining right now? Like
Not
No,
yet.
so
GoPMM?
we
That's the plan.
Search for it.
Here's the plan, Bhargav. So this is the question we ask at the very end that which platform people would prefer, whether they would prefer WhatsApp or Slack. So we got mixed responses. Some people are saying try with WhatsApp, some are saying Slack. So we'll definitely create the community where we can, also share some of the resources that we feel that people can use, and also do the announcement. So we will definitely create the community, just figuring out which platform to go for.
Absolutely. Makes sense.
Cool. I think people, all the four people other than us, who waited till very end. Thank you so much for joining in. I should have said this very earlier, but thank you so much, people. This was our first webinar, so we might have made some mistakes, might have went here and there in few areas, but thank you so much for your patience, for lovely questions, and I think all the encouragement we have seen in the chat. I think people are liking it, so hopefully we will see you all in the next webinar as well. People, over to you.
So, thank you so much, folks. There are only 2 people and 2 AIs left. I will speak to you tomorrow. And thank you, everyone, for attending. Good night.
Good night, guys. Thank you so much.